Well, welcome to FPSC's first Leadership Summit. And I'm privileged to interview the master interviewer.
That's generous.
Right,
That's
right.
Generous.
I don't got interview skills like that, but I'm gonna try. So you've really impacted the crowd here today, I think, on really just bringing reality to conversations, real conversations where I think a lot of times we're surface, we wear masks, we're scared to be vulnerable. What does that look like or mean to you when it comes to leadership?
Vulnerability?
I think in overall, just these conversations, how does that make us a better leader?
I think it's a breath of fresh air because it can become so clinical, the idea of leadership. You're managing all these roles, responsibilities, and I think the big shift right now when we talk about the realness, there's been a shift from managing roles and responsibilities to managing energy and emotion for leaders, and that can be exhausting.
Yeah.
So to have a leader open up and say, all right, what's really going on with everybody?
Yeah.
And a simple question I kind of threw out today when we were with everyone, of one word to describe where you're at. In a daily conversation, we could see each other in the hallway. Hey, Jenn, how are you? Good, yeah. It almost becomes a throwaway because we're in autopilot mode.
Right.
But if we could encourage our teammates, where if you're showing up in a meeting, you're showing up with your customer and thinking, what's a word other than good that you could share?
Yes.
Like, hey, how are you? I'm optimistic today. Boom, immediately it's an invitation to engage. It could be I'm struggling, I'm intrigued, I'm curious, I'm overwhelmed. These are cues that one, we could share, but two, somebody else could pick up on when the conversations get realer. So I feel it's a breath of fresh air when leaders provide and hold space for each other in this vulnerable way.
One point that you brought up was about, was it go first?
Go first.
I believe that you said. So that's something that my dad practices all the time. So he does a lot of leadership development, but with ministry and people.
Yeah.
And he always shares his story first. And he finds that opens up, the floor for everybody else to kind of share and connect. Do you relate with that?
I think that's a beautiful sentiment in a space where if there's a sense of unfamiliarity, we're seeking permission. So what your dad does is he's giving permission to get personal. I believe that's what leaders can do if they're going first with. Imagine all of these newcomers to Canada that are beginning this new opportunity with this job. They have all these struggles, these anxieties that could exist. But if you have a leader opening up about, okay, look, I remember my first day on the job, and you can laugh about it and own it and acknowledge the obvious, I think that's something great comedians do. They acknowledge the obvious, where you can smile and be like, yes, I'm not alone with that. I think going first allows people to think, I'm not alone in this journey, and it opens up beautiful pathways for conversation.
That's really good. Do you have a team? I'm assuming you have a team that you work with or know, your one-man show?
I've got my wonderful wife.
Yeah.
I've got my 5-year-old son, Nico, who's my executive assistant. And he's a great writer. I lean on him. Yeah. And you know what? I outsource the rest. And in this profession, speaking can be a lonely profession. Finding communities with mastermind groups, which are safe spaces to share ideas of, hey, here's what I tried today. Here's what worked, here's what failed. And I find like this industry is an industry of abundance of sharing of ideas, which is what I love what Leadership Summit represents. It's people from different companies, there could be competitors in the room, but this is an idea or an opportunity to just share ideas of here's what's working, here's what's not. So the team is lean, but it's growing. So if you know any good people, send them my way.
Last and final question: what's next? What's up for Riaz coming up this next year or in the future? New books, podcasts, anything in media?
Okay, so I appreciate what's next. One of the questions, and maybe this is a cop-out, but I always revert to what's now. I stopped asking myself what's next because I got caught up in the hustle of what's the next thing, and it was depriving the joy of enjoying what is right now. So to answer your question, I don't know what's next, but what's now is I get to be here with you, I get to be here with the leaders at lunch and just listen to what this message of connection did and understand how it served. So I always just try to reframe what's now, which my dad would say, boy, you need to think what's next. When are you getting your MBA? I don't know, maybe one day, but what's now is just this beautiful opportunity to do this. And I just want to say thank you to you and FPSC. It felt seamless in our conversations of rapport. And I see some of your teammates, Kim's on the side here, who I had the chance to chat with last week. it's a family that you talk about, and I feel like today I got to be a part of your family. So I would be the
Awesome.
honor to just say thank you.
Thank you. It's been really great, everyone.